What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Ron back with DFS Greatness. I'm here to give you great lineups, great picks. Let's have a great night, man. Week 16, let's get to it. Before I start this video, if you like the content, you feel like this content is helpful for you, like my page, subscribe to my channel, man. I'm just giving you guys great picks and just great opportunity to win some cash. Let's get to it, man. Let's break down the quarterbacks. I'm going to give you a few of my favorite plays for this Sunday, Week 16 slate. Let's get to it. Top of the line, man, you got Lamar Jackson at 8,000. I just feel like their price tag still is just too cheap, man. Because this guy been playing fantastic out of his mind. He a running back, right? Analytics got it wrong, but he's averaging 29.1 fantasy points a game, man. He's in a fantastic matchup against Cleveland. Cleveland gave Baltimore one of their losses this year, and I feel like Lamar Jackson is going to have a fantastic game. And also, Baltimore Ravens offense run the ball 50% of the time. And last week, Drake tortured Cleveland, man. He carved those guys out, man. So I just feel like Lamar Jackson will have a good game this Sunday. And also, I like Russell Wilson averaging 22.4 fantasy points a game going against Arizona, the worst defense overall. He's averaging around 4.6 rush attempts a game. They give up the most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Also, Cardinals defense has allowed 34 touchdowns and the most fantasy points to quarterbacks. All that being said, Russell Wilson in a smash spot this week, man. And he's $1,000 cheaper than Lamar Jackson. So I like Russell Wilson. That he's in a good matchup. And also, you got Drew Brees and smash spot also against the Tennessee Titans, and he's averaging 22.1 fantasy points a game, and I just feel like he's in a good matchup. They got a lot to play for. Titans gonna finish 8-8. I just don't see the Titans beating New Orleans Saints this Sunday, and also going against the Texans trying to win another game. I just don't see that happening with Derrick Henry being hurt. And a lot of the Titans defensive players are hurt. Also, Drew Brees he got the best receiver in the league. I can't say one of them. He's the Michael Thomas. So I feel like that's a good combination to go with, because I feel like nobody is stopping Michael Thomas right now. You want to put them in the GPP lineup with Drew Brees and Michael Thomas stack. I don't see nothing wrong with it. And also you got Tannehill, same game, 6,600, averaging 20.1 fantasy points a game, 29th rank. Their defense is the Saints, so I like him also because a lot is going to be on Tannehill with Derrick Henry kind of hurt this week. So I feel like Tannehill will have a fantastic game. Got no choice for them to win. And you got Dak Prescott at 6,400 in a must-win game going against the Philadelphia Eagles, averaging 23.4 fantasy points a game, 3.4 rush attempts a game, 14 worst defense overall to give up the 15 most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Last week, the Eagles got carved out by Haskins, the rookie, man, had 20-plus fantasy points. The Eagles' defense can't stop nobody. They got Darby, the corner. He's terrible. He got lit up last week by Terry McLaurin. So definitely I like the receiver core, Gallup, and I also like Cooper. If you want to stack those guys, I'm pretty sure they'll be low owned. I like that. Last three games, Prescott 18, 21, 28 projected to get 20.2 fantasy points. I feel like Dallas will try to get this game done. They got a better offense than the Eagles, so Dallas should be able to put his win out. And you got Matt Ryan, man, 6,200. He's averaging around 21.5 fantasy points a game. They give up 23rd worst defense overall. Give up the 22nd most fantasy points to quarterbacks. He getting around 2.2 rush attempts a game. Last three games, 19, 24, 23. Projected to get 18.6 fantasy points, Matt Ryan. The Jags has averaged 22 fantasy points per game since week 12 against quarterbacks. So definitely like Matt Ryan. You can go get some Julio. Julio had a lot of attempts last week. A lot of targets last week, 10-plus targets Julio did. So I like Matt Ryan stack those guys in a good matchup. And, go get Devontae Freeman also. And then for 6,000 for another cheap quarterback, I like Ryan Fitzpatrick, averaging 15.8 fantasy points a game, 3.4 rush attempts a game, going against the Miami Dolphins. Going against Cincinnati Bengals, my bad. I'm going to give the 8 most fantasy points to quarterbacks, 21, 15, 28. He also has scored 20-plus fantasy points 3 of the last 4 games. And the Bengals defense has been terrible. 5 rushing touchdowns already throughout the year and getting over 20 fantasy points a game. The quarterbacks, all that's been said, Lamar Jackson really tortured that week that he played Cincinnati. That's why everything's all up because of Lamar Jackson. And also, if I did go cheaper for quarterback, I like Phillip Rivers, 5,700. It is what it is with Phillip Rivers, averaging 16.2 fantasy points a game. I like him a lot. Last 3 games, Phillip Rivers has been mediocre. 29th overall defense they're going against, and they give up the 31. They rank 31st against the quarterback. So I definitely like Phillip Rivers. Mike Williams, he only had 2 games with touchdowns. And also Keenan Allen, they in the smash spot against the Oakland Raiders. Raiders are terrible. The defense can't stop nobody. And then if I go cheap for quarterback, I like Drew Luck, averaging 16.4 fantasy points a game. Their defense is 30th overall going against Detroit. I definitely like him. He's projected to get 13.7 fantasy points a game. The Lions have allowed 488 air yards after the catch. So all that's been said, if you do go get Lock, you definitely want to look at Sutton. I definitely have a lot of GPP lineups with Sutton in there because I feel like Sutton's in a fantastic spot. Do not see wrong going to get Sutton for your quarterback. And all that's been said, that's the core I'm working with. The quarterback, I'm going to go get Matt Ryan. And the running back, I know a lot of people look at Christian McCaffrey, man, 10,100. Don't like the price tag, or they got a brand new quarterback. This guy's, he's not that good. So I definitely not going to have no exposure to Christian McCaffrey. I think he's still trying to break Chris Johnson all-purpose yards record. That's on his mind. I'm pretty sure he should be able to get that. And you got Chris Carson, 8,500, averaging 17.7 fantasy points a game. Arizona defense is just dreadful. Definitely like Chris Carson's price went up from last week. He was in a smash spot. And you got Barkley, 8,300, averaging 17.1 fantasy points a game. But a guy a lot of people not going to be on. I do like Ezekiel Elliott this weekend, averaging 20.6 fantasy points a game. A lot of people have been saying, his contract, he ain't been worth the money. He been playing pretty good, man. Just the offense just been terrible. So I definitely like him going against Philadelphia defense is not that good. So Zeke Elliott will be low on if you want to put him GPP dart, just throw him one of your lineups. Do not see no wrong with playing him. And another guy that I do like, I'm going to have a lot of exposure to in GPP lineups, is Mixon, man, 6,600. He's averaging 13.9 fantasy points a game, going against Miami, man. They're not good at all. They give up the 3rd most fantasy points to running backs. He getting 16.5 rush attempts a game, 3 pass targets a game. Last 3 games, 22, 31, 17. Project to get 13.3 fantasy points. Mixon has scored 17 or more fantasy points in 6 of his last 7 games. Also, he had 18.6 points last week against the Patriots. The Dolphins has given up 27 fantasy points to back since week 12. So definitely he will be the chalk this weekend, Mixon in the smash spot. Definitely have a lot of exposure to him in GPP lineups. I like him a lot. I feel like he's going to tear him up, man. Miami, that's not that good. And another guy, I think he's in a fantastic matchup, Marlon Mack, averaging 12.7 fantasy points a game. Going against Carolina, I like him a lot. I feel like he should be a bounce-back game. Last week he didn't do much because they was playing from behind against the Saints. I like that price tag a lot from Marlon Mack. And also you got Austin Eckler with 6,100, averaging 20.9 fantasy points a game. Offensive rank going against Oakland Raiders 17. So I definitely like it. They give up the 12 most fantasy points to running backs. Raiders has allowed 15 touchdowns and average 25 fantasy points a game to running backs. Also, the Eckler and Melvin Gordon in splash spots, man. And my guy Devontae Freeman at the price tag, $6,000. I feel like it's too cheap. He's averaging 13.1 fantasy points a game, 12.8 rush attempts a game, 4.7 targets a game, 23rd overall worst defense, and he getting around 31 touches a game. I like that price tag. Jaguars is giving up the most fantasy points to running backs last 4 weeks of the season. And since Devontae Freeman came back from injury, he's just been playing pretty good, playing just about all the snaps. And I like that price tag going against Jacksonville. And you got Le'Veon Bell going against Pittsburgh. This guy, man, been terrible this year. He's averaging 14.6 fantasy points a game at 58 price tag. If you want to throw a dart in, he might have a chip on the shoulder going against his old team, but I'm not touching him. But if you want to throw him in there, you can. At 5,600, Melvin Gordon against the LA Chargers. Averaging 14 fantasy points a game, 13.9 rush attempts a game, 4.1 pass targets a game. He's projected to get 15.5 fantasy points this week. Like I told you earlier, Austin Eckler, both of them in splash spots. He want to be cheaper with Melvin Gordon. He's probably going to be low on. I don't see wrong with paying that price tag. And another guy that I like a lot is Philip Lindsay, 5,300, averaging 12.5 fantasy points a game with 13.4 rush attempts a game, 3.1 pass targets. Defense, 30th worst defense overall, give it the 29th most fantasy points to running backs. So Philip Lindsay in a good spot. If you want to go against Detroit, because Detroit probably going to get smacked this weekend. And another, Adrian Peterson at 5,000. You want to just throw him in your lineup. It's just the production's not like the OAP would get like a lot of 100-yard games, but he getting a lot of carries. That's what you want to look at right there. And another guy you want to go to, Lard, if you want to go back to the well with him at 4,600. That's just sleeper GPP you want to put in your lineup. And that's about it for that price tag. The guy I'm going to go in with Mixon. And at the wide receiver position, Michael Thomas against the Tennessee Titans, 9,300, averaging 25.9 fantasy points a game. Man, this guy right here, man, matchup proof. I don't feel like nobody, with Dory Jackson, nobody going to be able to stop this guy this weekend, man. Like I told you, you can stack him up with Drew Brees. Do not see the wrong paying that for him, man. Been playing out his mind. Also, 8,000, Julio Jones, averaging 19.1 fantasy points a game, going against Jacksonville. Defense not that good. They play a lot of man, Jacksonville does. And also, you got A.J. Boye. He don't shadow the number one receivers a lot. So, Julio should be in a smash spot. No Jalen Ramsey in Jacksonville no more. Tyler Lockett, averaging 16.3 fantasy points a game, going against Seattle. He might be shadowed by Patrick Peterson, but I probably will fade Tyler Lockett this weekend. And another guy that I like a lot at the price tag, I still like Devontae Parker. I like if I did want to play Devontae Parker, I have him with a little stack with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Do not see the wrong with playing him. Another guy I like, you got 6,500 for Kenny Golladay. I just feel like he would be low on. I would definitely want to go with like Danny Amendola. Amari Cooper is 6,700, averaging 17 fantasy points a game, going against Philadelphia. Man, it's something about Philadelphia. He got his number. He's played half his best games against Philadelphia. I like that price tag for him to go get him. With Dak Prescott, stack those guys up because this is a must-win. They're kind of in a playoff game right now. And Keenan Allen is 6,300, averaging 16.6 fantasy points a game. They got the third worst defense overall, give it the sixth most fantasy points to wide receivers. Getting around 9 targets a game. He's on the field for 88% of the time. Raiders defense had allowed 13 touchdowns and the fifth most fantasy points to receivers. All that been said is projected to get 16.1 fantasy points. I like him a lot. With Phillip Rivers, stack those guys up, man. Chargers, they're just playing for pride. Don't got nothing else to play for. And another guy, one of my favorite receivers I like, this Cortland Sutton at the price tag, 6,200. Project he averaging around 15 fantasy points a game, 7.6 targets on the game, getting on the field for 93% of the time. I like him a lot. Third worst defense overall to give up the fifth most fantasy points to wide receiver. Cut Cortland Sutton in the smash spot. I like him a lot. And this guy right here, man, Terry McLaurin. Told you guys to play him last week, man. He went off, man. I'm going to go back to the well and play him again. New York, 27 overall, worst defense. They give a lot more fantasy points up to receivers, man. Hasn't been good. Janoris Jenkins, they got rid of him. They released him. He getting around 14.3, averaging 14.3 fantasy points a game with 6.5 targets. The Giants has given up 11 touchdowns and 25 fantasy points to wide receivers already. So Terry McLaurin is in a good spot. And if I go cheaper for any other receivers, I like DK Metcalf. Like I told you earlier, going to Arizona. Defense is not that good. And I'm probably gonna have a lot of exposure to Cincinnati and Miami game. 5,800. Tyler Boyd, who was shut out last week by Gilmore, really didn't have a good game, but averaging 13.5 fantasy points a game. I like that price tag for him. And Gallup, if you don't want to spend up for Amari Cooper, go get Dak Prescott with Gallup, averaging 14.8 fantasy points a game. Because also Amari Cooper has a bad knee. You know, his knee is not that good. His knee is kind of banged up. And 5,000 and 4,900, Danny Amendola. And I like Mike Williams, man, averaging 11.8 fantasy points a game. Mike Williams been playing pretty good, man. Always catching like 2 straight games, 40-plus yard catches. Mike Williams been playing pretty good, man. Rivers been depending on him, been coming through, 4,900. If you want to go cheap, 4,400 Gage. That's like a dark throw. You want to put him in your lineup, just, punt off of him. Hopefully he'll come through. And Ward for Philadelphia, man, had a good game last week. You want to go back to him because the Eagles they really hurting their wide receivers. The receiver I'm going to go with this weekend, I'm going to go with Cole. I'm going to be a little different, man. I'm going to go with Sutton. Another receiver I'm going to throw in my lineup. Keenan Allen. For the tight end position, you got Zach Ertz sitting at 6,400, averaging 15.2 fantasy points a game with 9.2 targets a game. They 22nd against tight ends, the Dallas Cowboys. I like him a lot, man. Cowboys give up 6 catches per game in the 7 most to tight ends. Last 3 games, 17, 30, and 5. Projected to get 15.6 fantasy points a game. Zach Ertz is a must-win, man. Their price at 6,400 is not that bad. Another tight end I like, I'm going to have exposure to, is Hunter Henry, 4,700, averaging 13 fantasy points a game with 6.3 targets a game. Defense ranked 23rd. I liked him a lot. Last time he faced the Raiders, he scored 13 points. 3 defenses has allowed the 6th most points to tight ends, their defense. And also 4,400, Austin Hooper, averaging 15.6 fantasy points a game with 7.2 targets a game on the field 78% of the time. 9th worst defense overall. They give it the 9th most fantasy points to tight ends. Projected to get 13.2 fantasy points a game. And also Dallas Goedert, like I was telling you earlier, man, they shorthanded and projected to get 8.6 fantasy points a game. The Cowboys, that's not that good against tight ends. So the price tag, Goddard is going to be a big part of their offense. And for the tight end position, definitely I'm gonna go get with Ertz. Yeah, man, it's like a core that I'm rocking with, man. These like probably my favorite plays I like so far, man. If you want to spin up for, go get Michael Thomas, man. The price at 9,300, he is matchup proof, man. Nothing wrong. I'm just getting a few of my favorite plays that I like for this Sunday slate, man. And let's talk defenses, man. A lot of defenses out here. You got the Steelers defense. They're in a good matchup, man, against the Jets. Steelers in a must-win. If they lose, man, they might not be able to get in the playoff if the Titans win. Do not see the wrong with playing them. Another defense I like, the Jets offense has allowed 30.4 sacks and turned the ball over 2 times a game. So basically, man, Sam Darnold been throwing a lot of interceptions, so I definitely like him. Do not see wrong with him. And another defense I like also is Seattle. At Seattle, the 12th man will come alive. They always come alive up there for him, man. You got the rookie, man. Sometimes he turn the ball over. He turn the ball over, fumble a lot. So Seattle's in a good spot. And at 3,500, another defense I like is the Broncos. Lions has averaged 2-point takeaway. Lions have given up the ball 2.5 takeaways and the most fantasy points already, man. So definitely like the Broncos, man, and that should be a good game right there. So Broncos at 3,500 for defense, and also the Colts going against Quarterback. This guy, I forgot his name, Greer. He's getting his first start at 3,300. Nothing wrong with that price tag playing at. And also, I like the Falcons defense going against Jacksonville, man. Jacksonville has been terrible. The Falcons defense been playing pretty good lately. There's nothing wrong with playing up for them. Yeah, man. These are my plays for the week, man. Hopefully this video helpful. Just a few core plays I like, man. I know y'all could be a little different with you guys, but hopefully this video will help you guys. You like the page, you like the content, you like the video, man. Subscribe to my channel, like the page, man. Hopefully everyone will be able to cash out this weekend. And Merry Christmas, everyone, and have a good one. Until next time, I'm out. Good luck, everyone.